Previously on Talk That Talk. All right, Rick.
I don't care. I don't care.
You ready for this, bro?
I am, man.
All right, let's get
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting hearing some of the perspective, man. So, y'all, let me give you some context of where this question came from. It is implied that I am the biggest Southern hater in the world. I'm not. I've said many times on this show, I think they're a great band. I don't know how else to say it. I don't hate Southern. I don't. But I think that I have a huge issue with the amount of people that imitate their band. I think they are the most imitated band probably in the country. I do. I think a lot of high schools, a lot of colleges imitate their band and varying degrees of success. Let's just answer the question. Yes, they are the most imitated band in my opinion. I think Mario hit it on the head too. I think imitation is regional. We weren't imitating Southern up in Virginia. We were imitating Norfolk State. All the bands in that region were baby Norfolk State. I see Norcom, Booker T. Washington, Norview, all the schools in that area. But Bernard went to Hampton, and his school sounds more like Norfolk, And he has the best band in the Tidewater area from a show style perspective. So, and he's probably not imitating Norfolk, but because Norfolk is what's considered successful in that area, and Bernard has a successful band over at Kingsford, people will automatically assume he's trying to imitate Norfolk. I know he's not. He's just a good band director. So I'll leave that part there. Here's what the conversation we had, y'all, and I think it's gonna surprise some people because I agree with you, Mario, and I don't want to be that band. I just don't. I never will. I can appreciate them for who they are and what they do, but I will never stand in front of a band and try to be them. But where Julie and I were discussing it, and I think it's important that we bring this up in the conversation, other than just I don't care, is whether you love Southern or not, whether you hate them, whether you went to whatever school in the world, the fact of the matter is Southern can put receipts up against any band in the country. They can. If I went to Southern, I can say, hey, you can say whatever you want about us. We ain't musical. We ain't this and that. We got band directors at this college, that 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 college. And this goes all the way back to Dr. Sanford's generation. We got Paul Adams. We got Dr. Sanford. We got all these people. That's receipts. You look at these high schools in their area, I'm quite sure a majority of those band directors came from their university. Receipts. So at the end of the day, do I think that they are the pinnacle of HBCU bands? I do not. But I think that at the end of the day, they have room for the arguments that they make because they have the receipts to prove it. I mean, I'm like you, Mario. When I wasn't the band, it was two bands that I applied for when I graduated from college, from high school, and that was Norfolk State, and that was FAMU. I ain't know what the HBCU band culture was at all going into Norfolk State. My favorite band was FAMU. And before I keep going, I want to give a shout out to this new hair, Julian. Go ahead, bro. Got that hair daddy coming back. I'm proud of you, dog. I love you, man. But anyway,
So it's gonna be bald by Monday.
Tight. Hit the hair. But for me, I didn't know what that culture was, so I never saw that imitation. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to go to JMU or Norfolk. That was it. So it was one of those things where all the black band directors and the show style band directors in our area all came from Norfolk State. Juliet was at Norview, Norfolk State. BB was out at Norcom, and then he went to Huguenot High School, Norfolk State. And these are the best bands in the Virginia area, y'all. And they all went to Norfolk State. So I think imitation.
DC and grab James too.
Right. What James is doing in DC. Ain't no question who the best band in DC is. My rookie brother, and he's a Norfolk State grad.
James Perry.
Yep. So I think imitation is regional, like Mario said. I absolutely agree with you, my friend. But for anybody that graduated from Southern or is a Southern fan, I think I must say they have the room to back up some of these claims that they make because they have the receipts to show for it. Now, I'll close by saying this: there has to be variety in what we do. There just has to. I've said on this show many times. I think one of the biggest things that happened in our community is when FAM got disbanded for a couple of years, because before that, them and Southern were like the pinnacles. You know, there was two bands that people had to choose from. Either you did this style or you did that style. Secondly, go listen to some Southern from the 70s, 80s, early 90s, all the way probably through the 2000s. It was a different band. You know what I'm saying? It was a different approach. It was a different band. Yeah, they still had the bombastic nature, but at the end of the day, you know, they were balanced. Glenn, they played challenging, like they still play challenging stuff, but it was just a different band. You know, but you know, things change. And I think that they are allowed to have the style they have. I think FAM's allowed to have theirs. I think now if there's a band that is completely different, there's a couple band that pops to mind for me that are genuinely them. Bethune Cookman, whether you like them or not, you think they're born or not, Bethune is Bethune. They ain't trying to be nobody but Bethune. FAMU. Tennessee State. I've never seen Tennessee State emulate anybody else. Norfolk State, Southern, um, what DeLynn is doing at North Carolina Central. It would be easy for people to say, "Oh, they just trying to be Norfolk." No, they're not. They just have a great band director. You know, North Carolina Central, what Dr. Ruff is doing at A&T. There's a lot of bands that have their own personality. It's just that because we see more of Southern and because we like what they do in certain instances, I think it's easy for everybody to say, okay, I want my band to look like that, especially regionally. You know, I don't know, Julie, you can elaborate on this, but like I know in Texas, you know, a lot of the show style bands don't look like Southern, you know, and I know from you saying from growing up, Texas Southern was the band that everybody emulated. So, and maybe it'll be that way now, man, because I know for a fact that PV is making some good headway in the city with style and musicality and interpretation. So I think imitation is regional. Um, duplication and all. I don't think we can duplicate anybody because then you come off as a false facsimile. So yeah, I think that they have the receipts. They have a lot of successful people doing it at a high level, and kudos to them, man. They're a great band. They have great alumni, and so do a lot of other universities. So.
So let me pick up where you left off to kind of continue with what the conversation was yesterday. Because he's absolutely right. That was part of the conversation yesterday, basically saying that regardless of the fact of what we may feel about Southern, and let me put it out there, nobody on this panel has ever said that they dislike Southern. So let me just go ahead and say that. But regardless of the fact, they have people in place and they have put out directors, regardless of whether those directors imitated what Southern does or not. Because you can look at Dr. Zachary, and Dr. Zachary is from Southern, but Prairie View don't look like Southern. Even when he was at Norfolk, it didn't look like Southern. It didn't sound like Southern. You know, O'Neill Sanford, Dr. Sanford. Even if you look now, um, you got uh, Southern band directors right here in Dallas, at these high schools taking over programs. You got Southern high school band directors, not only in Louisiana, but other parts of Texas and Mississippi. Like they're everywhere, bro. And regardless of, you whether you agree with the product that they put out or not, the reality is that they're there. And like Rick said, the receipt can be put on it. Well, we got these people in these places. Now the other part of that in the conversation that we were having was that whether we want to be honest with ourselves or not, when we talk about the evolution of HBCU bands, Southern was a very, very big part of that.